See this face carefully. This is the king who was married 4 times, and 3 of his wives died mysteriously young. A man so obsessed with control, he handpicked virgin teenage girls to bear his heirs, only to bury them before they turned 25. King who only know how to sleep with women's. He ruled not just with fear, but with perversion, paranoia, and cruelty. He wasn't just a king. He was a monster in a crown. This is the story Spain wishes it could erase. One of the worst kings in Spanish history. You're watching Histovines. Subscribe to support Let's Go. Ferdinand VII. He was born in 1784 into the Spanish Bourbon dynasty. From the outside, his childhood looked royal, palaces, Tudors, gold. But behind those velvet curtains was a cold, insecure boy raised in a nest of snakes. He was taught to distrust, taught to manipulate, and soon taught to hate his own father, King Charles IV. But it wasn't just his father he resented. It was his mother's favorite advisor, Manuel Godoy. Whispers filled the palace that Godoy was not only running the kingdom, but sharing the queen's bed. Ferdinand felt like a puppet, and like every puppet that cuts its strings, he didn't just break free, he set fire to the stage. By 1808, Spain was in crisis, and young Ferdinand, eager to seize the throne, made a fatal mistake. He accepted an invitation from Napoleon Bonaparte, thinking he'd gain support to become king. But Napoleon had other plans. He tricked Ferdinand, held him hostage in France, and forced both Ferdinand and his father to abdicate. In their place, Napoleon installed his own brother, Joseph Bonaparte, as King of Spain. The people of Spain rose up in fury. Thus began the Peninsular War, a bloody uprising against foreign rule. But where was Ferdinand? Not fighting, not resisting. He was in French luxury, eating, drinking, and waiting. While his people died in the streets, he played the victim and waited for the crown to return to him. In 1813, Napoleon fell, and the Spanish people, desperate for peace, brought back Ferdinand. They called him El Deseado, the desired one. But within days of his return, he abolished the Constitution, declared himself absolute monarch, and began a reign of paranoia, revenge, and fear. He burned liberal books, executed reformers, and crushed the same people who had fought for his freedom. Spain, which had dreamed of a modern future, was dragged backward into the darkness of royal tyranny. Now, we enter the most twisted part of this story, how he destroyed the life of women's. Ferdinand VII was married 4 times, but these weren't royal love stories. These were horrors in silk gowns. First wife, Maria Antonia of Naples. He was married at 18 and dead by 21, and the reason given, officially, tuberculosis. But rumor was poisoned by palace intrigue or even by Ferdinand's own circle. Second wife, Maria Isabel of Portugal, died in childbirth. Ferdinand barely mourned. Instead, he immediately sought a new bride because all that mattered was producing an heir. Third wife, Maria Josepha of Saxony. She was only 15 when they married. Ferdinand, already a diseased, bloated king in his 40s. She was terrified of him, and she too died young, neglected, and silenced. Fourth wife, Maria Cristina of the Two Sicilies. She was 23. He was physically collapsing, his body rotting from syphilis, his legs swollen, his mind foggy, and yet he still demanded loyalty, obedience, and sons. She played the part, but secretly despised him. Ferdinand's obsession wasn't just with power, it was with purity. He insisted on virgin brides, monitored their fertility cycles, forced them into rituals, potions, and humiliations, all in the name of heirs. He ruled the palace like a prison. He ruled Spain like a dungeon. Anyone who spoke against him, exiled, tortured, executed. He was a king who feared ideas, a man who destroyed freedom, women, and hope, all while wearing a golden crown. When Ferdinand VII finally died in 1833, there was no peace, only chaos. Instead of a son, he left behind a daughter, Isabella II, and his dying decision to let a woman inherit the throne sparked the brutal Carlist Wars, ripping Spain apart for decades. Even in death, Ferdinand sowed destruction. Ferdinand VII didn't conquer kingdoms, he didn't build empires, he didn't inspire poems or glory. He simply clung to power, broke everything he touched, and became the king his country wishes they could erase. He wasn't a ruler, he was a royal monster. You've been watching Histovines. If this story shook you, subscribe and join us as we uncover more buried horrors of the past.